Hey, how's it going? Welcome to week 4 of 50 weeks of marketing. Each week I'm discussing a different marketing topic, sort of a bit of the boring theory behind it, trying to simplify it as much as possible and letting you know how you can implement it into your businesses. You may recognise the Chiefs jersey today, no blazer. We're in lockdown at the moment and just showing a little bit of support to our favourite team in the world, the Chiefs. Go the Chiefs. Hopefully we're getting some rugby again soon. And it's pretty crazy what's happening out there. But anyway, so community. That's today's topic. We're going to discuss sort of what is community, why is it important to customers, and why is it important to us as businesses or marketers, how we can implement it into our businesses. So what is a community? Well, I guess so what is community? Well, I think a basic explanation of community is that you've got a common set of characteristics. So that might be an activity that you like doing, it might be a geographical area, might be a church, so a set of values. So there's multiple forms of community. So basically you've got a shared interest. There could be, a certain localized group of people that's characterized by also having a lot of social interaction. That's part of a community. People are talking, chatting, people have relationships with each other. People have a sort of a general bond that ties them together into that community. So that was the last one, bond. So in a community, people have that sort of sense of being one, having a common set of values or rules that makes you a community. I guess in a modern world, we don't have those traditional forms of community that people might have had in their village, family members, things like that. That was your sort of general community was based on your location and who you were close to. Now with the internet, you can be in a community with people that you've never met, on the other side of the world, somewhere over in Timbuktu or Poland or Yugoslavia, South Africa, Bolivia, or it could be someone right down your street and you don't even know it. So community has changed a lot with modern technology, obviously, and the internet having that availability to connect with people with similar values, similar framework, people who are similar to you, and so that gives people a sense of belonging. When you're in the community with similar people, you feel like you belong. No one likes hanging out with people that they don't feel like they relate to, so it's important for people to have that community aspect in their lives. The next reason why community is important to people, along with that social interaction, it's also a strong sense of identity in who you are. So people feel more like themselves in these environments. You're your true self. You're not in sort of maybe a work environment or with your family where you don't quite feel yourself. You've got that inner conflict. In communities, it's a strong sense of, yes, this is who I am, this is my people. So that desired sense of identity sort of just drives consumers to purchase whatever it is that they purchase, what the groups that people identify with, the consumption communities that people join. It could be a car community where people who are passionate about a particular type of car, European car, or it might be American cars, or it might be a brand. It might be like a Ford forum. I was on a Ford forum in my teenage days when it was the whole Ford versus Holden thing, which is sort of irrelevant now that Holden's no longer. But anyway, so yeah, it could be a group of gardeners, it could be a fashion brand that people are into, it could be a band, everyone's fans of a particular style of music or group, something like that. So these are all sources of identity to people that reinforce who we are and who we want to be. So consumption is all about that desired identity. We purchase products we think reinforces who we are and who we want to be. So a lot of the time those identity benefits within a community come from self-esteem and realising your place in a community, being heard, being recognised by peers. That's another driver of that community. The two main types of communities which are prevalent now are brand communities and user-based communities. So it's pretty self-explanatory. A brand community is something created by a business to engage customers, potential customers, to learn more about them and things like that, which I'll discuss in a second. And then there's user-based communities which are started by people passionate about that brand or that industry or the hobby or a TV, whatever that is. It's generated and started by the users. So firstly, with a user-based community, it's not something that can be controlled by the business, and the brand community shouldn't be controlled anyway, but in a user-based community, it's sort of an environment where businesses can learn more about their customers, more so than trying to create a community around them. You can gain credibility for your business on an individual basis if, say, your manager or your staff are commenting regularly in that forum, giving value to people without it being obvious promotion or marketing, then that can be an aspect to build community. But generally it's just a user community is a good base to find research and learn more about your customers. Just sort of observe. You might be able to post links to company-based research or groups and get the odd person through that, but that's more so the value of your brand community. An online community can be based on social, so that's your Facebook groups, a private Facebook group for members or customers, or just a general Facebook group or Facebook page. The way you create community around that, it's really good for one-on-one engagement with customers. But as a learning tool, not so much, because you kind of get a few people who are really opinionated and really loud who just throw their opinion, but it doesn't necessarily speak for everybody. So social media, you can get quite a biased opinion, more so than if you're using such as an insight-based program. So just skipping those two, but I'll come back. So insight-based program is where you sort of got your best and most loyal and knowledgeable and valuable customers, where you put them in a group and you use it to learn more about your customers and how you can give them value. They know a lot about what other people think, their opinion leaders, so it's a good source of value. And then if that's an opt-in program, say through your website, hey, come join our community, and people opt in, they're likely to be a pretty good source of information, rather than just someone following your Facebook page, flipping through, commenting on random stuff. A support group is something also you might set up through your website, or it might be, through Facebook or LinkedIn, another little private group of people. It could be just the customer support on your website, different tools to gather information to make the user experience better, make little changes into your product or your service or whatever it is, using information as much as possible, but also helping people. You want that interaction and being able to help people. You have a positive experience, you're obviously going to talk about it. And so the final one is advocate program. So advocate program, again, are your all-stars. They're the people who love to talk about you. So you might create a system, rewards basically, to these valued customers to go out and spread the word about you. These people passionately like you, and you're not telling them to lie, they're just sort of planting the seeds out there to sort of grow your empire. So you need a group of really good customers to enable this strategy. Places will commonly find brand communities, usually Facebook is a big one. It might be YouTube, that brand community can be it needs to be focused on where your customers are. So a lot of people are using Facebook because there's just so many people, there's so many niches on Facebook. You can cater to everybody, but it might be different. It might be a Reddit forum, or, obviously you can set up a community on your website. You just have a message board, that people can create topics and stuff to talk about. User-based forums are usually, again, prevalent on Facebook and YouTube. YouTube's a big one if you're interested in a certain topic, watching videos on YouTube, and the comment streams are communities in themselves. So, but also people create, interest groups, forums, all sorts of stuff all over the internet. But generally it's based on a little forum community where people come and ask questions if they want to know something, research topics to find out information from what people have asked before, or just chat and form those relationships with like-minded people because you're interested in a certain topic, so you like to spend your time talking about it. So that's another form of user-based community. Why is all this so important? Because community drives loyalty. The deeper and deeper people get into the community which you create around your brand, the more they're going to feel obligated to support you and purchase your products, talk about you. There's a lot of word of mouth through these communities, people telling their friends. Apple's a good example of a loyal, community which they built. People lining up, outside the shops when the latest iPhone's released to buy a $3,000 phone, which was updated a year ago. It's crazy, but they've created that passion and loyalty around their brand. People in Apple communities, if someone comes along who's Samsung, they're like, hey, the Samsung's actually really good. They're going to be, thrown out of this forum and, you're not one of us. There's very specific in-groups and out-groups within forums, all sorts of conflicts and different opinions, but that's what drives a community. So as a business, you don't want to stop anybody having an opinion and disagreeing with each other. There's always going to be uniformity in it within a community, because that's the very definition of a community, but also there's going to be different opinions, and you want all that passion, and differences in opinions and values. That's what's going to just drive discussion and engagement. So that's something which should be enhanced, and so that's something that should be encouraged, Also, we want to take online communities offline, because that's another way to really strengthen those bonds with people, within the community and with you. So there's lots of different ways we can do this, but it needs to be relative to your industry. It needs to be unique. You need to provide value. So LinkedIn is a good example. Typical of me to talk about LinkedIn, but LinkedIn Local was a way for me to sort of start a community offline with people that I knew from LinkedIn and I wanted to, catch up with and see more regularly, and sort of get in a room and create that real sort of vibe and atmosphere and experience that people love and remember. That's something it's hard to put a value on, to create that sort of value for people who are part of community. I know LinkedIn is a huge place and these people aren't necessarily, in my tight-knit communities, but it was just a way for me to create, value offline, and people would still have some sort of connection with me. And I've made so many good friends and connections with people I've met through these events. Now I've had 9. Every time you see these people and you catch up and you hug and you shake your hand and have a drink and yarn, and it's really cool. So as a company, you want to be able to create that experience, so that really drives loyalty and a commitment to your brand. So cool, thank you. I hope you enjoyed today's topic. I'll talk to you again soon. Cheers.